So what exactly was the difference between version 1 of the three-less gun and version 2? Maybe you're an intermediate player or somebody that's just starting out to improvise and you sound more like version number 1 right now. Well, today in this lesson, I want to help you to move from 1 to 2. So that means that this lesson is not for total beginners. It also means this lesson probably isn't for really advanced blues players. But, you know, for the people that are right in between, that might have been playing for a long time and it still seems like they're stuck in playing the same phrases and just not starting to sound better. This lesson is exactly for you. Okay, so by the end of this lesson, you should have a clear roadmap of what the elements are that you need to work on in your daily practice to turn you into a more expressive and lyrical improviser. This applies for blues, but also works for all other kinds of improvisation situations. And, you know, I'm talking about blues, funk, soul, R&B, and all that. Awesome, so let's get right into it. All right, number 1 topic, phrasing and rhythm. Why is this the number 1 topic? Because it seems like a lot of guitar players think that they need to play more interesting notes, different note material to sound more interesting. Let's take the pentatonic, minor pentatonic. So we're in the key of B minor. So we got B, C, E, F sharp, and A, right? Now we also want to know which intervals these are. So we want to know this is our root note. We want to know this is our minor third. And you know, if you don't know the interval names, that's not such a big deal. But emotionally, you need to exactly know what each note means to you. So this is the 4th, this is the 5th, this is the flat 7. So that's going to give us a lot of blues flavor, right? So you want to have a relationship to all those notes. But beyond that, you're going to be perfectly fine with these 5 notes, and you don't even need to think on adding other notes at this first step. But instead, what I want you to do is start working on your rhythmical phrasing. What that means is that, you know, in the first example, I was mainly using 8th notes. I was mainly playing like this. I'll show you actually. I was mainly playing phrases like this. Could you hear that? So that automatically has this kind of beginner kind of vibe when you play like that. So there's 2 rhythmical things that we're going to start with. The first rhythmical exercise, we're going to start avoiding to play on beat 1. Instead of beat 1, we're going to start on the beat 2 of our count, or on beat 1 end, so slightly after the 1. Let me do that, and let's see what happens if I just apply that step. Wow, so that's already a major improvement. Can you hear it? So practice that and practice not starting on the 1. We're still only playing 8th notes at this point. And by the way, if you're not sure what 8th notes and 16th notes and triplets, 8th note triplets and all that stuff is, then go to the comment section down there below and download my rhythm PDF where I'll be explaining some of this terminology. Yes, so let's start with some 16th notes. Yeah? And what I want you to start with, instead of just playing plain 16th note phrases, just like, lines of 16s, I want you to start with some little accent shifting motives. Yeah. So if we just take the pentatonic, let's just take this one lick. Yeah? I'm just gonna take these 2 notes, and I'm just gonna play. Just from a da-ga-da, da-ga-da, da-ga-da. Almost sounds like a singing bird to me. Yeah? And we're just gonna take this little motive and we're gonna move it across the rhythm. Yeah? Something like this. Do you feel how effective this is and how we're able to break through into another echelon of improvisation with that? Yeah? So this is a very important step. You want to introduce some syncopations into your solo. Yeah? Syncopation is just a fancy word for offbeats and rhythmical excitement. Yeah? Instead of just always landing on the downbeat, which is very predictable and will ground your solo. So, it is good to have those downbeats in your solo, but you also want to start dancing, and dancing is basically achieved by playing these syncopations. So once we have that going, and that might take you a little while, the next step would be to add some more blues typical phrasings. And what I mean by that is slides and bends. Because you cannot play the blues without bending. Yeah? That's just where the soul is for blues playing. So let's look at some simple phrases and let's try to implement those into our blues. Yeah? So the first phrase goes like this. Now, playing phrases like this is not rocket science. Yeah? You don't have to be extremely gifted to be able to play these phrases. But there's a few things that you need to be careful about when you play blues phrases with a lot of bendings. And one thing, for example, is muting. You want to make sure that you mute all the other strings that are not being bent, so you don't get a lot of string noises. Yeah? For example, if you look at that last lick when I played, you see how I use my thumb here and I use my other fingers pretty much, and my right hand too. I use all I have to muffle the strings because my stroke of the right hand goes across all the strings. Yeah? So that creates the percussive feel, but in order for me to play it cleanly, I need to mute with all hands. Yeah, so again, you see how big the movement is in the right hand. So, and then you see how I'm holding my index finger across here again to mute all the other strings. So those are the little tricks that are not so obvious that I am applying to be able to play this cleanly. Yeah. Okay, so let's repeat the 3 licks one more time. So we got. we got. And you know, there's tons of variations of these licks, so if you don't have them note by note, that's cool, but the gesture should be there, yeah? So let's try to implement those three. So, that's a whole different level now, right? Were you able to hear how I took those three lick ideas and turned them into a somewhat cohesive story where I would just use the same licks again, but place them differently in a rhythmical fashion? You want to be able to make rhythmical variations of any of your licks. And maybe a good way to practice this is just to take one lick that you know pretty well and see how many rhythmical ways you can come up with to play this one lick. Yeah? Let's give that a try. When you get started with this, you'll see very quickly that there's literally no limit of how many ways you can play just one lick, and this should give you a sense of freedom to explore all those little nuances in your playing. Yeah? So we're talking about bands, and with bands I would differentiate between the big bands like a whole step band, or even a half step band still, and the small bands that are more like smears, that are just like little inflections, yeah, or work on both of these types, yeah. Then we also have slides, right? We have slides from the top and slide from up and down. So these reverse slides are actually super cool, if you're not familiar with that. Then what else we have? We got intervals, yeah? We can play two notes. We can play. We can play. Those are also called double stops, yeah? Then we can play unison bands. We can play two notes at the same time. If you're not familiar with all these phrasing tricks, I have another lesson on this channel where I go into depth into phrasing, and I will post the link up here. Now let's move on from a micro level on a kind of bigger level of playing the whole blues form. I want to talk about rhythmical development. So now that we have somewhat of a command of those little rhythmical ideas, I want you to start building an arch where we're not just playing random licks one after the other, just the way they come into your head, but instead we want to stick to one musical idea and start building a story. a cohesive storyline, just like in a book or a movie. That should be the goal of your solo. I'm gonna demonstrate that to you. Were you able to hear how simple but cohesive my licks were and kind of related to each other? So that should be your goal. And as a first exercise, I recommend that you just pick one rhythmical phrase and stick to it during a full chorus. Yeah? So basically you're playing a solo chorus with just one rhythmical idea, and that will help you to start develop that sense of rhythmical cohesiveness. Yeah? Now, once you are able to play in a motivic fashion, you're not going to overdo that either. You're going to find the perfect balance between repetition and variation, between repeating the old ideas and introducing some new ideas or variations. And then you're also going to be able to go back to your initial idea that maybe you had at the very, very beginning of your solo, so that you will develop this beautiful arch of ideas that are not random at all, but instead you take the listener on a journey, and then through all the adventures that happen, you lead them back to the beginning, basically, and remind them, yeah, that's where we started and that's where we are now. Does that make sense? So there's a real storytelling aspect to good improvisation, and that's one of the main ingredients that are going to help you to play this minor blues with more expression. Now, if you are someone that wants to really develop this melodic lead guitar style, not only in blues, but really in any setting, then I want to invite you to check out my TGT Academy, Total Guitar Transformation. That is my music academy where I'm mentoring a limited amount of students personally. This is an invite-only community. If you are interested to have your playing evaluated and find out if this might be something for you, then I want to invite you to click on the link below, fill out a short application, and then we're probably going to have a conversation, you and me, at some point. Awesome. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Please subscribe to my channel for more lessons and notifications, and keep on practicing with these ideas. I think it's going to be a game changer for you. Keep on rocking.